The fluorescent lights of Jake Sullivan's auto shop flickered faintly, casting long shadows across the grease-stained concrete floor. It was late June, and the Missouri heat pressed against the open garage door like an uninvited guest. Jake, Warren, wiped sweat from his forehead with the back of his hand, his flannel shirt clinging to his broad shoulders. A half-repaired carburetor sat on the workbench, but his mind was elsewhere, on a promise he'd made to his daughter. Lily, we remus. 5 years ago, one day, kiddo, we'll see Cinderella's castle. He'd said, her tiny hand in his as they watched a Disney movie on their old couch. Lily, now 9, still believed in that promise. And Jake had spent years scraping together every spare dollar to make it real. No vacations, no new boots, just odd jobs and skipped meals. It was worth it. Lily deserved a memory that didn't carry the weight of hospital bills or the echo of her mother's absence. Jake's calloused fingers tightened around a wrench as he thought of Lily's face, those wide hazel eyes that sparkled when she talked about princesses. She was old enough now to notice the cracks in their life, but young enough to believe in magic. He wanted to keep it that way, just a little longer. The bell above the shop door jingled, snapping him out of his thoughts. Daddy? Daddy? Look, Lily burst in, her ponytail bouncing, clutching a white envelope. Her cheeks were flushed from running in the summer heat, her sneakers scuffed from the gravel lot. It's from the airline. The contest you entered at the gas station. Jake's heart skipped. He'd forgotten about that. A scratch-off card from a fill-up weeks ago. A gimmick he tossed into the glove box. He took the envelope, his hand suddenly unsteady, and tore it open. His eyes scanned the letter, then froze. Congratulations. You've won one first-class ticket with Horizon Air to any domestic destination. No way, he muttered, rereading it. Lily gasped. We won. Enter Montour duty. Jake chuckled, disbelief softening into a grin. I won one ticket. Kiddo. First class. Her face fell slightly, but he knelt beside her, ruffling her hair. You think I'm letting you sit and coach while I sip fancy juice? No way. We'll figure it out. Lily giggled. And for the first time in years, Jake felt the world tilt in his favor. Disneyland was happening. 2 weeks later, they stood in the Kansas City airport, Lily clutching her sketchbook, its pages filled with glitter-glued castles and crayon fireworks. Jake wore his cleanest jeans and a pressed button-down, feeling out of place among the polished travelers. Lily, in her favorite purple dress, bounced on her toes. Do you think we'll meet Minnie Mouse today? She asked, her voice bright with hope. Jake smiled, his chest warm. She might be busy, but I bet she waves at girls who draw her pictures. The boarding call crackled through the terminal, and Jake glanced at their passes, one first class. One coach, Surester for Eurosum, seat 32C. He took a deep breath. Ready, well. Suri de Tremari Tidier. Durikiyin. She nodded, her sketchbook hugged tight. Then when, from the corner of his eye, Jake saw her, a woman near the check-in counter. Struggling, she was pregnant, mid-30s, in a faded sundress that clung to her in the heat. One hand rested on her belly. The other gripped a small suitcase. Her face was pale, her breath shallow, and she sank into a plastic chair, eyes closed, lips moving silently. A flight attendant offered help, but she shook her head weakly. Jake's gaze flicked to Lily, then to the first-class ticket in his hand. His heart tugged, a quiet instinct he couldn't ignore. He approached her, crouching slightly. Mi chérie, c'est for mesh. You okay? Her eyes opened, startled, then softened with embarrassment. I'm fine, she said faintly. Just dizzy. Jake offered a small smile. Ever flown first class? She frowned, confused. He held out the ticket. You're about to... Clara Bennett stared at the stranger, her throat tightening. She could have bought the entire plane if she wanted. She was Clara Bennett, CEO of Horizon Air's parent company, a name that graced Forbes lists and boardroom walls. But today, she was traveling as Sarah Cole, a nobody, fleeing the weight of her life. No assistance, no security, just her and the baby she carried. She hadn't expected kindness, not like this. Not from a man with worn jeans and honest eyes who didn't know her name. I can't take this, she whispered, her voice shaky. You can, Jake said gently. You need it more than me. Besides, I've got a window seat in coach with a great view. Clara studied him, the calluses on his hands, the warmth in his gaze, and felt something crack open inside her. Thank you, she said, taking the ticket with trembling fingers. Jake nodded and rejoined Lily, who beamed up at him like he'd just saved a kingdom. To her, maybe he had. In the first-class cabin, Clara sank into the leather seat, the cushion a small mercy against her aching body. She felt out of place, not because she didn't belong, but because she wasn't supposed to. For the first time in years, she was invisible, no press, no expectations, just a tired woman with a secret. Her pregnancy, now in its 7th month, had drained her more than she'd admitted. Her doctor had urged rest, but rest wasn't possible. Not until she was somewhere her name didn't follow. Still, the man lingered in her mind, his steady voice, the way he'd crouched to meet her eyes. The little girl with the sketchbook clutched like a treasure. Clara's hand rested on her belly, the baby shifting softly. She wondered what kind of father he was, what kind of world he built for his daughter. Her world was full of power, but goodness, that was rare. Back in coach, Jake adjusted his knees in the cramped space of 32C, careful not to jostle Lily. She was sketching again, a castle floating on clouds, her pencil moving with quiet focus. He smiled, the cheap seat forgotten. Lily's joy was enough, and knowing the woman up front was breathing easier made it better. Still, he couldn't shake her image, her poise, even in exhaustion, like someone used to carrying more than a suitcase. He shrugged it off. It didn't matter who she was. It mattered that she was okay. A flight attendant passed with drinks. Apple juice. Lily asked, perking up. The attendant grinned. Coming right up. Jake took water, then noticed the attendant return with a small envelope. From a first-class passenger, she said discreetly. She asked me not to say her name. Jake frowned, opening it. Inside, a single sheet read, "Thank you for your kindness. People like you remind me why I still believe in grace. Serenor." A grateful stranger. He stared at the words, then tucked the note into his pocket. Not because it was grand, but because it was real. Clara watched from behind her magazine as the attendant delivered the note. She saw the man, Jake. She'd overheard Lily call him, read it, then slip it away with care. Not pride, just quiet acknowledgement. That moved her more than any gesture could. She'd known men with wealth and influence, but this man, with his faded shirt and gentle presence, had given without asking anything in return. Before her life became headlines in boardrooms, she'd believed in people. That was before betrayal, before grief, before every kindness came with a catch. But Jake didn't even ask her name. To him, she was just a woman who needed a seat, and that was enough. As the plane descended into LAX, Clara gazed at the city lights, her future sprawling below, somewhere down there. A quieter life waited for her child, but her thoughts drifted to Jake and Lily, to the sketchbook and the man who'd given her more than a seat. He'd given her hope. The plane touched down, and Lily stirred, blinking at the California sun. "We're here," she whispered. Jake chuckled. "We are, kiddo." At the terminal, they stepped into the chaos, tourists, business travelers, weary parents. Clara moved behind them, her hat low, sunglasses hiding her face. She watched as Lily pointed at a mural of palm trees and Hollywood stars, Jake kneeling to answer her questions with patience that felt like love. Clara's heart tightened, not envy, but recognition. She slipped into a black SUV, the door closing with a soft thud. As it pulled away, she whispered, "What if I'd asked his name?" Jake and Lily checked into a modest motel near Disneyland, its kidney-shaped pool a thrill for Lily. The clerk handed her a park brochure, and she clutched it like a map to Narnia. "Will we see Ariel?" she asked. Unpacking her sparkly backpack, Jake tossed her a grin. "Only if you don't draw on the walls." That was one time. She huffed, then giggled. Meanwhile, in a downtown LA high-rise, Clara sat on a sleek couch, her phone buzzing with messages from her chief of staff. She ignored them, opening a blurry photo she'd snapped on the plane. Jake crouching beside Lily, her sketchbook open. No names. Was history none. No details. But the image held more truth than her life had in years. A knock interrupted her. Miss Bennett, your doctor's here," a voice called. Clara composed herself, welcoming the OB/GYN with a polite smile. The checkup was routine. "The baby healthy? Traveling?" the doctor asked gently. "I needed to be anonymous," Clara replied. The doctor nodded. "Babies sense things. Calm. Joy. Whatever you're chasing. I hope you find it." Clara's throat tightened. "So do I." That evening, as Jake and Lily walked back from a diner, the air thick with jasmine and fried dough. Lily said, "Was that lady okay?" "The pregnant one." "Ihwadi this her in on." Jake glanced down, surprised. "She looked tired but pretty," Lily added. "Like she doesn't get to sit down enough." Jake laughed, warmth spreading through him. "You're right, kid." He didn't know why he kept thinking of her quiet dignity. The way she'd accepted the ticket like it was more than a seat. At the motel, Lily fell asleep clutching her brochure, and Jake lay awake. The stranger's note heavy in his pocket. It crossed the city. Clara stared at the same stars, her heart whispering the same question. What if, weeks later, Clara stood on the porch of a Vermont farmhouse, the scent of pine and hay in the air. She'd rented the place under Sarah Cole, craving silence. The owner, Renuin Tumpiwashuro, Agnes, a retired librarian, handed her towels and oatmeal without questions. Clara's penthouse days felt distant here, the creaking floors and misty sunrises grounding her. She began sketching, a habit from college, her pencil tracing Lily's braid, Jake's worn hands. One morning, Agnes dropped a newspaper on the table, muttering about the world's chaos. Clara's eyes caught a headline: Local Foundation funds art scholarships for youth. A photo showed kids painting a mural. Her breath caught. She'd glimpsed Lily's sketchbook on the plane, a page with "For Mommy. I hope heaven has crayons." Lily had lost her mother. Jake was raising her alone. That night, Clara opened her laptop and emailed a trusted assistant. "I need the name of a man on Horizon Flight 422 with a girl named Lily. He gave me his first-class seat. I need to know if kindness like that still exists." She hit send, hope flickering like a candle. By dawn, a reply: Jacob Sullivan. Antaranana, daughter Lily, age 9. Kansas City to LAX. No hotel or return flight booked. Dig deeper. Clara typed one word: yes. Days later, she stood at a modest Topeka home, facing Charlotte. "Jake's mother." "I'm looking for Jake Sullivan," Clara said, removing her sunglasses. Charlotte's eyes narrowed, then softened. "You're the one he gave the seat to." Clara blinked. "He told you." "Whoever, T9," Charlotte said. "But you look like someone who needed it that day." They spoke briefly, Clara leaving a package for Lily, an art set with a note. "Lily, you see the world like an artist. Paint what you dream. Ayarenian." Irisson. Back in California, Jake and Lily were in line at Disneyland when his phone buzzed. "Mr. Sullivan, Shomon." A familiar voice said, "It's Sarah from the plane." Jake stepped out of line, heart pounding. You okay?" "I am," she said. "I visited Kansas. Met Sharonowan. Met Charlotte. I left something for Lily." Jake exhaled, a smile breaking through. "That's more than okay." A pause. Then Narla war Tertian. "I'd like to see you again, if you're open to it." Jake looked at Lily, her eyes sparkling as she watched a parade. "I think I'd like that," he said. That night, Lily tore open the package, gasping at the paintbrushes. Jake read the note twice, tucking it beside the stranger's letter. Something was shifting, like a door creaking open. Weeks later, Lily's sketch of Cinderella's castle hung above her bed. Wobbly but perfect, she painted every night, her watercolors telling stories Jake couldn't name. At a library art workshop, the coordinator, Miss Ellen, praised Lily's work. "She paints questions," she told Jake, then mentioned a scholarship for a summer program. Funded anonymously, Jake's throat tightened. "She's accepted. If you're willing," Ellen said. He nodded, knowing who'd lit this path. That evening, he called Sarah. "It's Jake," he corrected, smiling. "Thank you for whatever you did for Lily. I just lit a path she deserved," she said. They talked about art, grief for surasuriento, living outside expectations. She spoke of Vermont's silence. He spoke of Lily's trembling hands before painting. One night, "Surichuam," she asked, "do you believe in divine appointments?" Jake paused. "I believe in moments too, right to be accidents." At the art showcase, Clara stood outside the community center, her sundress soft against her skin. Jake waited by the door, his faded shirt honest, his smile steady. They didn't hug, just stepped inside together. Lily stood by her painting, a girl with wings above a city, titled "If I Could Carry You Too." That's you, Mommy. And me we're in Maine, she told Clara. But she's light now. Clara's eyes stung. It's brave, Jake said, his hand on Lily's shoulder. Later, jumping under string lights. Clara said, you earned her. Jake met her gaze. Thank you for noticing her. They sat in silence. The kind that holds space. Can people like us start over? She asked. Jake breathed deep. It's about finding someone who sees what's left and calls it enough. A week later, at a quiet bistro, Clara slid an envelope to Jake. My truth, she said. He read her letter, revealing her as Clara Bennett, billionaire behind Horizon Air. I was escaping. She wrote, you gave me grace. No questions. I hope this begins something honest. Jake's jaw tightened. Billionaire. He said. She winced. I care that you didn't tell me. Why now? She asked. Because I wanted no lies between us. He nodded. You were right to tell me now. Relief softened her. I can't promise I won't feel awkward, he said. I like chili, she replied. He chuckled. Then maybe we're okay. Days later, Jake hesitated over Clara's invite. Her world felt distant. His small, at the park, watching a couple's quiet love. He felt foolish for pulling away. Lily said, she never made me feel small. And that night, he called Clara. I got scared. When not in a breed, he admitted, you belong in every world I want to build, she said. The next day, she arrived with muffins and sunflowers. Lily gave her a canvas, 3 figures under silver stars. For the baby, despantampon, she said. Clara knelt, whispering, she'll love it. Jake's heart unfolded. This wasn't a fairy tale, it was home. One Saturday, they sat in Jake's backyard, Lily chalking the sidewalk. Clara's hand on her belly. This is the first time I've sat still, she said. Jake grinned. You don't do still. They laughed to say, the silence between them warm. That night, Jake gave her the boarding pass he'd kept and a note. There's a seat in my life, waiting for someone kind, strong, honest. It's yours. Clara's eyes filled. I choose the seat, she whispered, and they embraced, fear falling away. Months later, at the airport, Jake, Lily, and Clara boarded together, Lily between them, chattering about cloud kissing. Clara gave Lily a necklace, a paintbrush charm with create what you can't find. Can I draw our family? Lily asked. Jake took Clara's hand. Everything unsaid understood. Clara moved to a cottage near Jake's town, and they built a nursery together. Lavender walls, hand-painted stars. When Livia was born, Jake held her, whispering, welcome home. That night, with Lily sketching and Clara beside him, he looked at the stars. Do you believe in miracles? She asked. I didn't, he said, but I do now. They began their lives, not a rescue, not a fairy tale, but a family. One seat, one kindness, had rewritten their future. If this story touched you, share your thoughts below and tell us where you're watching from. Kindness travels far, and we'd love to have you join H Stories. Subscribe for more tales of hope and heart. Until next time, believe in small miracles.